Well, good morning. And today we have got Shirleyann Haig with us on the Whole Hog podcast. And I'm so excited to welcome you today, Shirleyann.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, honestly, it's brilliant. And you've got so much that you're doing just now. It's just absolutely incredible. So I can't wait to hear all about what you do, your journey in life, and everything in between. So, what I'd want to start with is you are a ethical passive income coach. So, I'd just like to hear a bit about that and just explain what that is and what is that you actually do.
Okay, so what I do is I help people from all over the world create multiple streams of passive income. But I do it in a way where everybody wins. So I have an arm of that which I help people build property portfolios. I work in underprivileged areas and I help provide housing in the Merseyside area. And I create sustainable long term affordable housing. But it's again a model where everybody wins because the tenants win because they get to stay in their communities, the councils win because it reduces homelessness, but the landlords win because they get long-term tenants who make the houses their home. So that's the property side. As you know, you and I are both in the Start Over book.
Yeah.
And since I got involved in that, I've now been helping women become authors. So that has triggered a huge thing. So from a passive income perspective, I teach people how to create books and training courses and other methods to actually create that passive income. I used to have a 20-year career in the pharmaceutical industry. So I've recently joined a new sort of multi-level marketing company
Hmm.
called and Zinzino is a test-based sort of health prevention company where they provide tests to see how well your cellular health is. And then the supplements are based on what you need, not just things willy nilly. Them. So again, I'm helping build a team so people can build passive income
Hmm.
through that.
Hmm.
And I also run Inspiring Women. So through that network, I help females improve their entrepreneurship skills. But that I've set up a CIC as well, and that rolls out into the community. We teach children in the colleges all about financial literacy and entrepreneurship. So as you can see,
Amazing.
there's so many things. The reason I've called myself a passive income coach is because what I do is I work with people to see where they are, where they want to be, where their financial status is, what kind of level they're at, and then we basically look at a solution that fits them. So everything's bespoke, but everything is designed on win-win solutions, whether that be health, finance, community, homelessness, and it's all encompassed under that big umbrella. So that's what I do. That's yeah, just what I do.
So I do only a little bit. Scratch the surface. So many arms like an octopus. Isn't it? But that's amazing. So with the property side of things as well. So how I mean, do you have a lot of people that are in this that come to you that are helping with this kind of the homelessness, I suppose, because people are able to then get back to like properties and making everybody a little bit more stable because of the housing prices just now, you know.
So I personally started investing in property when I was in my 20s. So while all my friends were going out buying shoes and handbags and partying, I was walls and
You were smart.
yeah, I was so smart at the time. It was a lot of hard work. However, I built up a large portfolio. I come from a council estate in Liverpool, no airs and graces, no silver spoon. And when I started working in the pharmaceutical industry and I had nice bonuses, I went back to that estate that I grew up in and started buying all the rundown boarded up houses. In sort of what happened naturally was the area came back to life and everything was nice because and then people had homes and that gave me a real sense of fulfillment.
Oh, absolutely, it would do.
years I've been doing that now. So I've got a lot of experience doing it. And around about 6 years ago, I set up a company called Home Property Solutions. And that was when I started offering the services and the skill set out to other investors all over the world. So I now have around about 50 customers, 50 clients that I help build them sustainable portfolios. And then between them, they've bought around about 80 properties in the area. So in the last 4 years, I've basically brought 80 properties back to life within the Northwest. And what we do is we work in conjunction with the council, and we provide those houses to, when you say homeless, people sometimes get mistaken about, on the street. We're talking about normal families who were evicted through no fault of their own because the landlords, came to the end of retirement, they decided to sell up. But because of the housing shortage, there was absolutely no housing for these people to move into. Now, Liverpool as a city, we have one of the highest rates of renting in the UK. So
Wow.
more rental properties than anywhere else. Sorry, my
I was,
phone just.
no, I just wondered. I was like, oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
There she is.
So we basically, I forgot what I was saying now. We basically we buy all those houses and we go to the council, and they have families who have been evicted through no fault of their own. They emergency housing, staying in with friends and family that are desperate to get back into the communities that their kids go to school in. They might have been miles away. So it's a real feel good factor. So when we say we work with homeless families, it's not the desperately homeless on the street, people that need support and care. I'm talking about normal families who, their landlords have sold up and left them without a home, and there's no housing for them. So that's what we do. That's the housing side.
Yeah, but it's amazing because for myself, I've been in that situation because I was in a rental property, like you said, working, single mum. I was in a private rent,
Yeah.
and because my landlord was selling up at that moment in time, there was no other rentals, or they were far too high, and in that situation. So it's amazing that things like that are happening, because when that happens, you're in that bridge between, I'm going to be homeless, and something's going to have to give. So it's amazing that something's in place that's affordable for the community and helping people that are in that in between stage.
And,
Because
and we're looking to expand it. So Liverpool City Council have asked me to help not just with the families that we already help with, but there's like 300 homeless students in Liverpool City College who are
wow,
there for an emergency housing. So they've asked us if we can do a project with them, a pilot to try and do that as well. But the problem is there's just not enough housing. And the other statistic in Liverpool is we have the highest rate of single occupancy households in the whole of the UK. So live on their own in 2-3 bed houses, and families are stuck in rooms in emergency housing, not being able to go into those housing. So there's a big sort of issue that we need to deal with, which is
yeah, it needs addressed.
yeah, and the problem is the planning department. Every time there's a new estate gets built, they say they're affordable homes, but they're not. They're
No, they're definitely not.
my landlords, we don't buy those houses because they're too expensive. If you rent them out, the mortgage companies will say, sorry, the rent doesn't meet the stress test. So it's one of those things. It's the houses that are being built, the cost of building materials is so high that houses aren't meeting the demands of the people that need them the most. So what we're doing is our strategy is buy up all the empty old houses, and then we refurbish them to a high standard and rent them out, and that makes it affordable for the landlords, affordable for the tenants, and gives everybody that long-term sustainability, but brings areas all back to life as well. So the area that I grew up in, which was regarded somewhere that wasn't so affluent when I was growing up, is now a really lovely area, and it's got a lot of green space, and it's a nice place. So I'm glad that I invested so much time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it must fill you with some pride as well, actually seeing something like that grow and flourish in an area, that is like that now, compared to probably being at one point so run down and just so unloved and nobody's there.
And I think the other thing is because the tenants know and trust us as landlords, we've structured our business so that they're long-term properties in limited companies. We won't be asking for them back. We will change the company structure will carry on. The children or somebody else will manage the properties and the company as we get older. We're not going to come along and sell them. So because they know that they're long-term houses, they make their homes, and that then makes them feel happy. But then they take pride in their home. Most of my tenants have been with me, 17, 18, 19 years since I was buying. So, I've got that longevity, that relationship with the tenants. So, yeah, it's great. And as I say, that's the sort of model that I'm helping all my investors. And we've got people from, America, Canada, South Africa, the Netherlands, Sweden. Yeah, just so
Oh
many.
my goodness, all over. Yeah, it's not just the UK. Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
our model in the property company is we are a completely hands-off company. So an investor would come along and we would help them buy the property. So legally it's in their name, but we would handhold them through the buying process. We would manage the transition. We would completely guide them. We would do all the refurb if it was needed, and we would tenant them and manage them. So we've got investors that have never ever even seen some of these properties because we've been doing this for 20 years. They know that we know what we're doing. I
Yeah,
treat
yeah.
these the same as I treat my own. So it's great.
That's lovely. It is, it's lovely. And it's lovely that, they've just, that you're like, they're putting everything, they're just like, right, this is what we want you to do. And just, totally put it over to you. And that's amazing because that's just like so much trust that you've built and everything that you're doing that's come across that,
Yeah.
you're you're the lady to sort, you are the people to sort everything. And especially for people abroad, if they're going to be invested in something like that, a lot of companies probably have to, travel back and forward and have a lot to do with something like that. So that's massive.
Some will do the sourcing and then they'll outsource the refurb, and then the lettings will be done by someone else. Again, because everything is under one roof, it's all under one umbrella, it's all driven, by myself and my team in the office. People just feel like it's just safe because we will manage
Hmm.
the whole process. But one of the areas we've just moved into, which we're really proud of, is that our model was buying up the empty houses and helping the people who were homeless. Now our biggest thing is we're buying the houses with the tenants in situ before the landlords actually sell. So what we're saying,
Oh.
if there's any landlords out there within the Northwest, within the Merseyside area, who want to sell and they
Hmm.
want to make their tenants homeless and they don't want to pay any estate agent fees, come to us. We've got investors that will potentially, if the figures work out right,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily me or the investors saying, we can't afford that. It's whatever stress testing the lenders put on the deal. The
Right.
deal
Okay.
back up for the lender in order for the buyer to get the borrowing. So as long as that all works, then we can match buyers and sellers, and the tenants don't even have to move out the house. And that's the model that we're working with at the moment for the homelessness prevention. Uh,
Oh, that is phenomenal. That is amazing because it's more the uncertainty, if they have to move out and then the house gets bought over and that happens and they're like, oh, I've lived there for so long. I wish that could have been done and us not actually have to move out of that. So that's a massive,
yeah.
massive chunk.
We want them to keep that house as their home. Our our investors just they will just own the home, and it's a transactional sort of relationship. We will make sure that those tenants remain happy in their home, and that's what we do. So yeah, it's definitely got a feel good factor to it. So it's funny, a lot of my friends are like, why don't you drive around in your Range Rover and have a nice house and a big fancy. I've that I'm like, I'd rather invest my money in assets which give me cash flow, which then give me a nice quality of life, but I'm not materialistic. I get more joy from helping the community.
Helping.
Yeah, which is a bit weird,
Yeah.
but everyone's to their own, isn't it?
Yeah, no, because at the end of the day, it's like it's you've got a good heart, and like I said, you could buy this, you could buy that, but for you, it's like, well, I'm doing my bit, and you've got your assets there, and you're bringing that joy that a lot of people are, there's an issue there, so you're being a problem solver in that mix, and there's nothing going to be better feeling than actually feeling like that you've done good.
Yeah, there's so many people who, you know, abuse landlords. I don't think they realise how essential and how important landlords are in areas where the demand for rental is higher than, it's like, well, oh, well, they're taking up all the houses that first time buyers want to buy. In a lot of areas, people don't want to buy. People want
Hmm.
property, or they can't afford it, or they haven't got a deposit. So, for me, it was always about a win-win solution where the landlord's got a really nice return, but it wasn't extortionate. It wasn't,
Hmm.
the tenants got to pay market rent, affordable rent, and it
Hmm.
bringing it all together. So no one party won or one lost. It was, let's make it so it's fair, so everybody wins, and that's where the side comes in. It's about, nobody's having one over on the other person.
It's like a coming together as a collaboration and a team. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
I just wish more people would do that, but unfortunately they don't. But, that's why my business is so successful. So my company is called Home Property Solutions. We're based in West Kirby, Wirral. We're online. It's www.homepropertysolutions.co.uk, and you can find out all about us on there, or you can, if anyone else is interested, they can go on my own website, which is shirleyanhaig.com, and that will take you to all the different elements of what I do, but also link into the home property solutions. But we do have investors, so if anyone's listening to this, or watching it, and they are in another part of the country, one of the other reasons why we invest in the Northwest is because we get the best return on investment for landlords. So the same houses down south would be 4 times more expensive. Rents wouldn't be 4 times more. So we get the best return on investments at an affordable rate. And so again, just the locality of where we are, the high demand for rental, and again, we're helping the investors. I used to live in the Midlands, and we moved up here. Because this is where we were investing, even when we were down south and in the Midlands, because it's one of the most, it's one of the most or the best places to get the best return on investment.
That's amazing. What a journey for like basically you investing in your first property at 20 to now this portfolio and how you're helping people is just absolutely phenomenal. You're a total powerhouse woman. You're a powerhouse. And it's just so lovely to hear because it is purpose driven. And that's, like you said, that's what's different for you in this business that you're doing is because it is a purpose driven, solution and business, and that's just phenomenal. So hats off to you, lady. And tell me a little bit about the because you're the founder of the Inspiring Women Wirral. So how did that come about, and tell us a little bit about this journey and what
Yeah.
this all about. Yeah.
So it was about this time 2 years ago. Was I'd been made redundant from my pharmaceutical job. I moved into the property business full time. I had two children with special needs, one autistic and one with ADHD. I was divorced and I was working in isolation, and I felt incredibly isolated as a female entrepreneur. And I thought about, I wonder if there's other people like me. And I was sort of, I'd go on the school run and I'd meet up with friends, and nobody got it. Nobody understood how hard it was, juggling your own business, running a family, and the isolation that came, while they were having
Hmm.
mornings, I was like, sorry, I've got to go home, I've got to do the accounts, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. So I was like, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could create a community that could support me? So I went out to find a network which met those needs. And unfortunately, there was lots of quite, intense business driven network events, where it was all with business first, people set
Yep. Hmm.
or there was events that were in the day that didn't, or didn't meet the days that I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, why not set something up? So the other thing as well is, again, this is where you can see my personality coming through. Tie-ins, memberships, sign up for a year. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to create an affordable, accessible, you know, inclusive as well, because some of the groups felt quite exclusive. There were some groups that I was told I couldn't be part of because they already had someone who was involved in property in the group, so I wasn't.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah,
So,
it's allowing one person in. Hmm.
so I'm like, well, what about collaboration? How do you collaborate if you're not letting people in with the same industry? So I just thought, right, I'm going to create something that doesn't exist. It's going to be inclusive to everybody, regardless of who they are, what they do. We're going to involve a social aspect. So we'll have a glass of Prosecco on arrival. We'll have some social, like, networking. We'll have some interesting talks, and it will be about an holistic approach, because one of the things with running a business is, you can have the business coaching, but sometimes we need well-being coaching, and we need to
Oh, 100%.
ourselves. So I created a community, and I couldn't believe on my first event I had 60 women turn up, all in support of this new community, all of them female entrepreneurs. Now, that community has grown over 2 years. I've now got 4,000 followers on Instagram. I have hundreds of people
Wow.
in that group where we all share. And again, I have an open forum where I'm like, this is for you. You post everything you're doing. It's literally an open forum for everyone to share what they're doing. And if people want to go, they can. If they don't want to go, they don't have to respond. I post loads of posts on social media for free because I want people to grow organically without it costing them a fortune. And
Yeah.
pay as you go policy. So no one's tied into any long term contracts. And while that isn't better for me as a business owner, it's better for all the people that come, because, they choose to come rather than feel forced to come.
Like forced.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I had my, they always have, so they're based in the Wirral in a little pub called of Wasson in Telegraph Road. And they happen on the third Monday of every month. Um, the community is phenomenal, and the women will say, like, this is the social event of their month, because it is. We have now a WhatsApp community, so we'll go for walks, we'll have social events, we'll all go out for Christmas parties. So there's another thing. You have all women who work in isolation. None of us have a Christmas party, so we.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that's what it was. It was really supporting the small business owners, like I was, working in isolation, bringing a community together. And the collaboration that's happened out of that group has just been phenomenal. Like, connected with financial advisors and accountants, and then we've been putting together property investment training courses with all the elements in there. And then a couple of the members, so myself, a lady called Harriet who is an accountant, and a lady called Katie Bowater, she's set up the Young Entrepreneurs Club. So she's a force to be reckoned with. The three of us have come together and we've created a CIC, a not-for-profit organisation, and we've built training courses teaching kids about entrepreneurship and financial literacy. So we've been rolling that out of the last year as well. So we've taken
That's phenomenal.
everyone in the group and we're like, how can we give back to the community?
Mm-hmm.
Being asked by Liverpool City College to come and design the business studies course for next year. So myself and a team of people are redesigning the way we teach the course, so that because there's a lot of neurodiversity within this group,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's another area we're experts in, we as a group of entrepreneurs are going in to teach the kids from a real life perspective what it's like to run businesses rather than reading out of a textbook. So we're just building that at the moment as well. So yeah.
Boom, boomshell. That is amazing. You are just like, honestly, you're so inspirational because the way it's designed with schooling and school is they don't get that. They don't get this, right? You know, you can have your own business. This is how you can grow, and this is a different avenues you can go, and this is how you can do it. You just get a worker's mentality. You know, you're working for your grades. You go get a job. What job do you want to do? And they go, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do as a job when I leave school. But a
Yeah.
lot of them probably do, and especially people with neurodivergency and all that, you've got that in you to be an entrepreneur because the way that the minds, you know, fires off differently. It's just amazing that you're doing something like that. It's so needed, and this should be in every school across the country, and hopefully it will be.
Yeah, I'm going to potentially look at if it can be, adapted and rolled out. But yeah, you said about the embracing the extraordinary. So I've got an autistic son and an ADHD son, and I got diagnosed with ADHD last year, which I've got hyperactive, impulsive, which kind of explains why I don't have an off button and I'm working. I can't relax. My brain doesn't relax. If I try down, I get anxious and I get agitated. So one of the things that I'm teaching these kids is, our brains are so active and they need constant stimulation. We are very easily led down the wrong path, and if we can channel that energy into the right way and
Yeah, positively. Hmm.
on all the solutions. This is where the entrepreneurship comes from. And this is what we teach on the courses. Around about 80% of the women in my group are probably undiagnosed ADHD, self confessed, like that it all makes sense, which is why
Hmm.
so I think it's weird that, it looks like I'm doing lots of random projects, but the crossover is unbelievable. So loads of the ladies who are writing. So you say about like redefining success, book that is due out next month. So all of the ladies from Inspiring Women, and sort of I've reached a little bit further in the Northwest, I invited them to come with me to write a book called Inspiring Women. It's called Limitless, sorry, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
Inspiring Women Redefining Success. So the point you made, Michelle, is what is success? School teaches us that success is get good grades, get a job. But for most people who have that entrepreneurial spirit, who have that, they want freedom, they want flexibility,
Hmm.
that looks very different. So I've basically invited 10 other amazing female entrepreneurs to write their journey of what success looked like for them and how they got to where they've got. And we've got people who run, the most amazing like coffee shop locally, someone who's got
Hmm.
a travel business, someone who's got a Pilates studio, an accountant, someone who set up the Young Entrepreneurs Club, someone's got a laser therapy clinic, and so much more within that group. But we've all got that entrepreneurial spirit, but none of us wanted to work in those confined rules of employment. So wrote that down because, and we as part of the CIC, we're gonna produce copies of that and give that to the children that we go and do the courses with, so that they can see that success isn't linear. It doesn't fit in, make it whatever you want, but it's like take the box away, and that's when you start thinking outside it. But you've got to strip that box away, otherwise people won't grow, because they're constantly being told they're wrong because they're trying to break out of the box, and we need to destroy the box basically.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you on that one as well because um, I wasn't any good when I was in school. It was that kind of pattern of things, and I went into the working, environment, and it just never served me.
Yeah.
I was always thinking of things, and people will say to me, Michelle, what are you doing now? You're doing this and you're doing that, but it's because I just see something and I want to go try it, and I'm like, get this idea, and I'm like, let's just go, and it is making that feel for other people that it's more normal for your brain to think like that, and like you said, channeling that energy positively. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you're channeling it into something that's you're wanting to do positively for growing as a business. And it is just breaking out of that box that they've all tried to put us in for so long, and we're not. Everybody's not a box. Some people are circles and squares and triangles, and and that's amazing.
So that's the other book that's coming out in September, is called Embracing the Extraordinary, the
Yes.
reality of parents of neurodivergent children. So I've been asked to talk at the Autism and ADHD show about how to parent an ADHD child. So as someone who's got ADHD, who's an entrepreneur, it'll be a really good opportunity for me to share, how we need to get the best out of these kids by telling them to shut up and sit down. I was told my whole life to shut up and sit down. Now I stand on stage talking, like irony.
I know.
They told me to stop doing what my skill was. So for me, it's about making sure that, if school's not doing it, the parents are giving the kids what they need, the stimulation, the opportunities to thrive the way that they need to thrive.
Yeah.
Because if they're put in the boxes or they're judged, it's like what they say, don't judge an elephant how to climb a tree. It's like,
Hmm.
we're all different. We need to be, and we know that the schooling system, it's really hard to contain all those people when they do need different things. However, if we can adapt it within the curriculum so that it is more exciting and it's not reading out of a textbook, we've got them all practically doing it, and we're giving them live briefs. They can come and work for me, and like, right, I'm going to give you all a project. It's a live project. How would you do it? And we get them thinking about all
Can.
rather than reading it in a book. And it's not the curriculum, the endpoints will stay the same. The way that we deliver it is gonna be what's different. And I think, that's what will make the difference.
Definitely. And it's good for you because you know how your brain works, what you were told at school not to do. And it is, and it's like if somebody had seen that your strength was talking, your strength was doing that, that was a strength of yours instead of it being, right, calm yourself down and, go and relax. And you're like, well, I can't relax. My brain's like a hamster wheel 24/7. I need to stand up and move and talk and chat to people. And I was just saying, my mum used to laugh. She'd say to me, on every single report card since I went to like P1 all the way through my schooling, Michelle talks too much. But that was seen as a but yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, that should have been seen as a strength, but it wasn't. I just talked too much and I wasn't good at maths, etc. But you talk too much. But it isn't, it's seen that as a strength.
Yeah.
And it's like, and again, for my daughters, like my eldest daughter, she left school, but she's been diagnosed with ADHD. She went through autism assessment. we weren't too happy about how that went because it felt like it was kind of rushed and just not the right things put in place. But I'm going through, again, autism, ADHD with my younger daughter, and she does struggle at school because it's that containment to sit in, learning, writing for so many hours. And, she's creative and she's chatty. So if there was something just to move her in that direction more of our strengths is something that this hopefully is going to be a massive movement of some course now, what you're doing in the school system, because this is something that should have been done a long time ago, but because you've been there yourself, now you've been diagnosed, you understand it, and now you can see with your kids and going forward that this is a massive thing and how you can help because you can know how your brain and how everything works.
My autistic son is he's very, very high functioning, and he's taught himself American law. He's only 14, and region. He was fluent in Spanish. He learnt Spanish, and they asked him to take his Spanish GCSE, and he went, "But why? I know how to speak Spanish now, so there's no point. I want to learn." And they're all like, "No, you have to take it." So our great guy, I'm going to learn Norwegian because no one does that. So he
Love that.
doesn't fit the mold, and they're like, but we're not studying American law in history. He's like, and he's like, yeah, but I want to learn this. So he likes to come home and do what he wants to do, not what he's been told to do. And it's difficult because again, it's like, oh no, he's not doing what he wants, what he's supposed to do. I'm like, no, he's doing what he wants to do, but at the same time, he's excelling
Yeah.
that give him joy and the subjects that he's probably going to end up moving forward in that aren't being
Mm-hmm.
curriculum right now. So it's when he finds things too easy or they're not
Not
stimulating.
stimulating. Mm-hmm.
So he needs to be stimulated with things that are just a little bit too hard for the normal person. So it's funny. So my ADHD son, he went and did athletics last week for the first time in school, and they got him to run around the field, and he broke the school record of the 1 and 200 meters. Within like the next day, they had him competing in like because they were like, "Oh my god, where did he come from?" But that's just his ADHD. So he's just like super super fit and always on the go,
Yeah.
football,
Yeah. And
everything like that. So
hyper focusing on that task, like, I'm going to run the fastest. Watch me. I'm going.
uh,
I'm off.
so one of both very different as well. So one of them's very social, very physically active, and the other one is, he likes to spend all of his time on his own, on his computer, learning and playing games. But I can't really do much together with the children because what they enjoy is so different. So one of the hardest things for me is trying to do things that normal families do, like collectively. We just can't do that because I'll do things with him, but I can't do things together because they just don't enjoy time together.
Don't. No, no. And again, it's just navigating things and learning for yourself what's the best way, for you as a family, and not being in the box that this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go out together all as a family. But you're like, if that's going to cause stress and anxiety or anything like that for each of the kids, it's like, well, navigating, well, how is the best way to, spend that quality time and do something that excites them, inspires them, or just gives them some downtime and some time just together. And and I think again, it's just getting out this box of thinking that
Yeah.
we've all been put in.
Society puts us, they create this is what you must do, this is the path, everyone has to follow this same path. And and it's so funny because you look at some of the most successful people in the world, they're ADHD and autistic, but we're all that we're wrong and all of the other like neurotypical people are right. And it's like we need to stop telling people that's the case, and we just need to start saying our brains function slightly different. We're more entrepreneurship. We like take the ADHD is like taking risks,
Risks.
like to go further with the analysis of like what's in front of them and the data and the science and my son, he loves maths, engineering, science, computing,
Hmm.
that's him. Whereas the ADHD one likes art and sports, and he loves
Hmm.
that as well. But they and so again, you can't lump neurodiversity together because they're the opposite. But it's like as if the ADHD are one end of the spectrum, you've got everybody else in the middle, and then you've got the autistics down this side. So, but they lump that together, and they're so far apart. It's like we just need to realize that we need to stop thinking the outliers are bad, and in fact look at them, because we're the ones breaking the molds, we're the one driving society forward, we're the ones creating things that haven't been done before. That's
Hmm.
not a bad thing, because but it's bad for people who want us to conform and stay in a box.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're breaking out of this box, baby, and we're all our special everything you're doing. Which is amazing. And obviously with your with your books, so you've got the one for your neurodiversity, that's going to come out later, isn't it? Yeah.
Extraordinary is due out mid-September, so we're starting to promote that now, but it's going to be a bit available to order mid-September. Yeah.
And how is that book? How have you got, like, is that going to be different stories with different families and how they've kind of had to navigate? Hmm.
Authors, parents of children with neurodivergence, they've come together and we've written our personal story, our journey, all of our lessons that we can share with other parents about what worked for us. Because people always say, if only there was a manual, and that, there isn't, but the book where we can share our personal accounts and we make people realize that different isn't bad. Different can be extraordinary, and we need
Hmm.
to embrace it, hence the title. So that's why we've kind of gone on that journey, because we want people to also realize how bloody hard it is to be parents of neurodivergent children. If people lived a day in our life, they would be a lot more accommodating. Now, one of the reasons I wrote this book was because I was made redundant around about 6 years ago from my successful career in the pharmaceutical industry. One of the reasons for that and why I was chosen for the redundancy was because despite being their number one salesperson and on stage year after year after year, I'd taken too many days off, which I'd made up the time in the evenings, but I'd taken too many days off because my children got excluded from school because their needs were not being met in school. So we got to the point when my oldest autistic son was in junior school. I had to go and pick him up nearly every lunchtime. Luckily, it was during like COVID, and he was one of the kids that went to school because he had the special needs. But we were working from home then, but it just put a strain on the times and what I could do when I could do it, and it, the need for that flexibility in my life was what triggered me to go on to set up my own business on my own terms. That was kind of, so it all started with needing that flexibility. Now, because because I'm not stressed, because there's a lot more calmness, because I haven't got to be somewhere, because I don't start my day till a bit
Hmm.
later, so everything is just a lot easier. But as soon as when I was stressed because of the constraints put on me by my job, it was then having a negative trigger on the kids, and the whole house was in chaos all the time. So it losing my job was awful at the time, but it all happened at the right time for the right reason.
Yeah.
I was able
Yeah.
to redesign my life on my own terms. But the biggest thing for me is if I hadn't income from the properties, I would have lost everything. I would have, because I'd just got divorced and had to give half of everything away, and then my kids got excluded from school, and I got made redundant. It was like my life should have collapsed around me, because that's what would have happened to any normal person. But because I had the income from the properties, that helped me stay afloat. That realization, the importance of creating that passive income stream to give you that financial safety net, that was the trigger for setting up the business. So the flexibility, the realization of what passive income can do to families, and especially families like mine, single mums with kids with complex, it was the perfect solution to a problem that most of us will be facing. So can you see that these books, while being different, there's a thread that runs?
Yeah, they all interlink. They do all interlink. And everything you do actually interlinks. And it's funny because there's a lot of your story, even though everybody's stories, like everybody's got a story, and everybody's story is different. But there's so many bits, our, connection in our story that we kind of interlink too, because even now with my daughter, it's the, oh, she might get excluded from school, but we're going through the autism thing, but it could be a 3-year wait. So we're going through the CAM system, and she's finding it difficult at school, and it's our needs. So it's back and forward with this. And when I actually gave up my hair salon a couple of years ago, I went back into a job, into a hair salon, but the hours, and my daughter was going through a really bad time, and at the school, I had to keep running away and going back and forward, and I'd always had my own salon so I could do what I needed, and going back into that working environment again, being told, you can't leave, you can't. I just was like, just after, I was only there for 3 months, and I said, I can't do this. Like, my kids need me. I'm just by myself, and it is like you said. And now it's having this flexibility and this passive income and doing different things that's going to help support you as a woman in the place that you're in your life, in your family. Because yeah, the kids do need that little bit more support, and they do need your needs. And if you have got something on, if you've got a meeting or whatever, it's you that's running it. The kids need you, and something happens at school, you can drop that and change that, and that's where it's such a strength that things like that can be put in place now to help women.
Absolutely. So yeah, everything is linked: the neurodiversity, the female entrepreneurship, the passive income, the property, and then I have moved into working with an amazing company called Zinzino as well. So Zinzino,
Yeah.
the healthcare company based in the Nordics, and they promote products which are amazing for improving your cellular health. So in my 20-year pharmaceutical industry role, I used to work in immunology, and I've always worked with drugs that controlled the side effects of the autoimmune diseases. Now, what's in Xena, the company I'm working with now, does is that's the root cause of the problem. And they're like, let's improve your omega-3, omega-6 balance. Let's improve your cellular health. Let's improve your gut microbiome, and let's get your health back on track. Let's remove all the inflammation. And then what we do is we then prevent all the chronic conditions. We prevent the autoimmune diseases. So, again, from an ethical passive income perspective, this absolutely sat with me like you.
Yeah.
It just sat perfectly, because let's not, let's not get a pharmaceutical drug that helps with the side effects. Let's get to the root cause.
Let's get to the actual solution here before.
So I started taking the products only for a month, and I went from 4 weeks ago I couldn't walk and I was struggling with my hip. I climbed up a mountain on Saturday, because our friend Andy's been inspiring me climbing up that. Only big one. I didn't do a big one. But me and my ADHD son, again, because I know he needs that kind of stimulation, doing
Yeah.
something new. And I thought, I need to get my physical health back so that I can do those exciting things for him. And I thought, our friend just looked like he was having far too much fun up those mountains.
Doing yoga and everything.
I know. Exactly. So I was like, yeah, I need to get out more. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I can improve my physical health. But no matter what I was doing, I was eating really well. And what Zinzino sort of taught me is that once you got to a point where you're in that inflammatory state, where your cells and your balance is off and your cells become rigid, so you're not letting the nutrients in, you're not letting the toxins out. Basically, you need to get your balance right to turn the inflammation off, get your cells into a permeable state again, and then feed it properly. But I've just been in this kind of inflammatory state for so long. I didn't know any difference, but I feel so much better. And all as it is an omega-3 supplement, which helps your cells go back to that, you know,
Like before, like a pre-inflammation kind of thing.
absolutely. It's that simple. So I'm so excited about working with them because it's just so nice to work on prevention rather than cure, because that's where I've always worked in the past. And very successful in I worked in the sort of scientific department, I worked in the sales department, I worked in the training department, I was a coach. Um and I loved what I did, but it's brilliant to bring those skills into a sort of, multi-level marketing company where I can then help build people's confidence in the scientific side, because I've got the postgrad diploma in
Yeah.
pharmacology. But then there's a lot of people who want to start out in a passive income. They can't afford to, buy a
Get
property.
all the stuff. Yeah.
Can't
Hmm.
do, or they haven't got a story to tell yet to write a book, or they're not confident enough to write some training course. So this is a really good first step, because the training that the company gives people, if people are interested in becoming a coach or self-employed, working at an organization where there's multi-level marketing and you've got the ongoing training and support, that is a really good way to upskill yourself without the cost the money it would cost you to get that level of training outside of an organization is thousands and thousands. So coming into an organization and getting it for free. So I always say to, anyone that I do coaching with, it's really important to work to learn, not just to earn. So I've always worked with companies that offered really good training packages, because that then propels you in life. So that's what I love about this. So helping loads of people come on board so that they can become partners, but with a product that I truly believe in, which is great.
Yeah, and that's so important, is having a product that, because there is other companies out there, but if you don't believe in the product, or you're selling something that you're not truly aligned with,
Yeah.
then you're not going to do it from a place of passion. It's going to be basically just a monetary type of thing. Like, I'm just doing it for the money. That'll burn out eventually at some point in time, because you don't have that passion or belief and behind it. And I'd said to you, I need to actually look into that properly, because I've got that adenoid, so I always get, freezing cold hands, and the doctors are just like, oh,
Well,
well, you could go on like heart medication. I'm like, no,
the medics were talking the other day about how it's helped a lot of people with Raynaud's. So yeah.
I'll be taking that supplement very soon. That'd be one thing I think for me, that I'd be like, oh my goodness, my hands are actually warm.
Yeah.
I can always,
Cellular health. So if you get your cells working properly, then everything will be working properly. So my hip wouldn't even move a couple of weeks ago, and now the inflammation's gone. So it is.
oh, that's amazing. Because when you do, when I went to the doctors, and I went years ago, and they just kind of were like, there's not really anything you can do for it. It's, you can take, I think it was like a heart medication or something to try and, thing it. And I thought, I don't want to go, I'm not on any medication. I never ever have been. So I was like, I don't want to start something that I'm going to have to be on lifelong. And like you said, it's not curing it. It's just, oh, there we go. No thanks.
The thing with these supplements, they're not medicine, they're natural,
Hmm.
organic, food based supplements that top up your nutrition as opposed to putting chemicals in your body. So it's just odorless fish oil mixed with polyphenols from olive oil. So it's pure natural food source, and it just takes your cellular health back to where it needs to be. And once you've got your cells working properly, then you can introduce, your gut tablets and your vitamins and things like that if you need them. But what's different about this company is they make you, well, they don't make you, they encourage you to take a test so that you can establish your cellular health. And then 4 months later, after taking the products, they'll retest you. They recommend what you take based on your results. So, how many people in the supplement industry just recommend things and they take things and nobody knows if they're working or not?
No.
This is test based, and there's 1.5 million people have been tested so far in the world, and 98% of those people are out of balance in terms of their cellular health. So, and that's because since the 60s, we've had, a ridiculously processed diet, and
Mm-hmm.
the seed oils. Seed oils are, they have been more detrimental to our health than a lot of things that have been introduced. And what the seed oils do is they switch on our pro-inflammatory cytokines, and that's what starts the inflammation. Now, our omega-3, which is the fish oils, flax,
Mm-hmm.
nuts, and olive oil and stuff, what that does, that's anti-inflammatory, and that turns it off. If we're out of balance, we're having this overstimulated immune system, but we need to bring this up to turn it off, and it's that simple.
Isn't that it's phenomenal. It's almost like mind blowing that you're like, why is this not even a thing now? Because like you say, our food, our intake of stuff now, it's so different. We're not getting the nutrients
No.
from our food at all.
Off the land, off the sea. Even the animals were just local, organic. Now the food that the animals are being fed is so they're getting fed the processed food. So when we're eating the meat, which is supposed to be good for us, it's actually full of processed
Processed stuff.
and all that. So it's and everything's sprayed and things like that. So it's one of the guys who got me on board. He's a local sort of well-being influencer, and he eats only organic, and he looks really, he's healthy. And he did his test, and your balance should be 3-1. His was 23-1, and he eats nothing but organic food. And because his immune
Wow.
so low, he said his body was malnourished from the food he was eating because his cells couldn't absorb the nutrients because they'd become rigid because of the imbalance. And that's so even people who look really healthy. And probably one of the worst groups are people who've had a low fat diet. Women who've been in and out of
Mm-hmm.
life trying to avoid fat, when actually they need the fat for optimum health. And it's bizarre once you understand the basics. But because I've studied immunology for 20 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
makes total sense because I've worked in that field, and I've worked in, I used to work in rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, ankylosing spondylitis, psoriatic arthritis, uveitis, Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis. I've worked in autoimmune diseases, and I've been the one going out talking to the doctors about how our products work on the immune system. We're talking about a product which is so simple, and it's prevention rather than curable. The NHS won't prescribe anything that prevents it. They only firefight once you're ill. So yeah, it's mad, but it is what it
It's mental when you think about that. You're just like, wow. But then that's amazing that this is out here now because I had never heard of this company before until you had, recently kind of just said about it. And like, it's so simple, but probably everybody needs this product because we're all eating roughly the same kind of foods, whether you said either if it's organic or not. we're not getting the same. And people do have these things, and if they don't go, well, I'm not taking stuff to the doctors, you just have to live with it. And
Yeah.
it's like, why should you live with feeling, like different pains or coldness or having these effects with things that you can't get under control?
But in the last 50 years, we've gone from 10% of people having autoimmune diseases to around 65% of people having autoimmune diseases.
Bloody hell.
That is all due to this increased inflammation. So when it comes to the inflammation, this is the thing, all of the inflammation is the same. It goes out of kilter. It finds something in your body and it starts, instead of attacking a pathogen, which is what it's designed to do, it will attack itself. So if it attacks your joints, it's rheumatoid, or if again it's psoriasis, your gut, Crohn's, your eyes, it's uveitis, your brain cells, it's MS. It's the same condition being every different speciality in the hospital. You'd probably go to rheumatology, and then
Hmm.
psoriasis would go to a dermatologist, Crohn's would go to a gastroenterologist.
Hmm.
It's the same. The condition is the same. So the drugs that I used to sell, we sold a drug that worked in all the conditions because it was the same mechanism of action of inflammation as it turned off, but the actual presentation was different. Do you imagine if we can just turn that off in people? So the results have been phenomenal. So I'm just really excited about it because, as you can see,
No,
that
totally. It's a passion because you've done that. And how is it that you actually do the test? Like, how does that work for people who would be interested?
literally you get a finger prick test, so you can do it yourself. So I could set
Hmm.
one, and literally you put it in one of your fingers. You have two little dots on a paper, and you then wait 10 minutes, put it in an envelope, and you send it to a lab in Oslo, one of the biggest leading labs in the world by all the universities, independent to the company. So those results are real because they're independent. It's not the company that's selling you the products. The lab then sends you back the results via email, as well as a sort of 20-page PDF report telling you exactly where you're deficient, where you're doing well, what you need to do to change your lifestyle and your diet. And then that test is £100. So, compared to if you go to Bupa, you can pay up to 1,000 for an MOT.
Hmm.
Now, the test if you do a full blood test, it doesn't go into the cellular level that the blood test does. So that's why it's brilliant to like add on to things. But you literally send it off, you get your results, and then you can then start taking the products that you need based on your results. But I've started taking the knowing full well I'm out of kilter. Now, I eat a very, very high omega-3 diet. So yesterday, for instance, I had a tuna jack potato for tea. I had chowder for lunch. I eat fish most days of the week, but the amount of fish that you need to get the omega-3 that you need, you'd be having about 10, cans of sardines a day.
Just tuna, just eating tuna and
Yeah.
sardines all day.
Lot of mercury and stuff. You can't have too much fish. So it's like, in order to have the amount,
Achieve that.
you'd probably end up having like heavy metal poisoning.
Then you've got to do a bit of a detox for that.
So this is why it's been purified, and it's odorless as well, mixed with the olive oil. And it's literally a little shot that you take. It looks like that. It's little olive oil and odorless fish oil. It helps with so many conditions. Menopause and that. Well, our brains are made up, 28% of our brains are made up of like fatty acids, and most of us are completely deficient. So it will help with all our fuzzy brain and everything.
Was
Um,
just going to say that with the menopause, because a lot of people start saying the one thing is the brain fog and the memory, and they start, and that makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
so it just by increasing your omega-3. So the thing is, what people will say is, well, there's been a Cochrane report done showing that omega-3s don't work. No, they don't work with these companies that put them in little capsules, because by the time they get to where they need to go, it's oxidized and it's gone off. So you need to take it with blended with the polyphenols, which is how it appears naturally. And by that collaboration means it's got like a half-life of 30 hours, and then it'll travel around the body, get to where it needs to get before it disappears. If people who've tested, there's been people who've done tests and they've said, no, I'll keep to the brand I'm on, but I'll do the test. And the difference is off the chart. Most brands are still out of balance. And it's
Yeah.
process the oil with the polyphenols.
Right. Well, that's amazing. It is amazing, and it's like just for so many things that it does, and then just listening to you educating me about all this, and it's like, it just makes sense. Like you said about the brain, the fatty acids, and all these different things, and because there's been times that I've taken all my different vitamins, and sometimes I think I can't really feel much, of a difference. But something so simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sold. So yeah, I've become their big.
I'm sold as well. I'm like,
I and it's my Inspiring Women community, and one of the ladies in the group, she's a physiotherapist, and she's been taking the supplements for 2 years. Her whole family have, and she's got neurodivergent children, and she says the impact on their brains and their behaviour is off the chart. So connection, the results show that it makes a really big difference in this subgroup. So I'm like, oh God, here we go. Here's a study that based on the work that I'm doing within the neurodivergent group. So yeah, I've just sent the bloods off for my kids to see, what their levels are, because my youngest, he eats a very, very good diet, rich in nuts and fish and seafood. So if he's low, but they said neurodivergent brains are naturally low.
really?
Yeah.
That is just that's crazy. I would never ever have thought that that would be something that's low compared to anybody else.
Yeah.
So that'll be really, really interesting, because it's stuff that, again, if I'm using it and I'm going to, see results for myself, for the kids, absolutely. It's like a no-brainer. It's like, why would you not do that to help that and basically feed their brain with goodness that they're kind of needing.
But it's just feeding the brain with the natural fatty acids that make the brain process. It's been shown to help with, depression and all things like that as well. So, as well as all the chronic conditions and the autoimmune diseases. So, yeah, the company is going from strength to strength because the unique approach to testing rather than just rolling out the supplements, that's got people interested, so people know what they're dealing with, and those reports are so informative. It makes us, there's been people who've gone, okay, I've got the report, I will just change my diet, and then like the partner's gone on the liquid, and then they've retaken the tests and it's come down with a good diet, but it's still not within the ranges, whereas the one on the,
What this should be.
and then they've switched. So there's so many case studies, but yeah, it's been really interesting to get involved.
Well, that's amazing. And do you know what? I can just see how passionate you are about this, which is amazing, because again, it's you're all about making a difference in general, with everything in life. Like, it's just, that's your heart. It's like you just want to make a difference, help people, whether that be from your health, from finance, from business, from helping navigate, it's just amazing. You're just phenomenal. You're amazing. You are. And the next book as well is going to be the Start Over series as well. So you're part of the Start Over book series, which is telling a chapter of your story. Yeah, your story in that. That'll be out soon. So don't want to say too much away, but in general, just what made you kind of join that movement and add your chapter into that.
So before I even started writing any of the books, I had wanted to write my story, write a book for so long. I even found some pads the other day when I started writing my story about 6 years ago. So it was always something that I wanted to do. And I saw a clip from Marco. And at that point in time, I didn't know any authors, I didn't know how to do it. So I saw Marco's clip and I thought, yeah, I want to be part of this. And because my journey had literally, I had literally lost, my job, I got divorced, my kids got excluded, and compared to some of the people, as you well know, in our group, I mean that's not actually that bad, but it's bad for me. And also, I thought it would resonate with a lot of people because there's a lot of people will have gone through that as well. And I just wanted to tell my journey about how I overcome it. It was all about overcoming as opposed to wallowing in the problem, because we can all wallow, but the only way to move forward is to learn from what's happened and use it as fuel to drive yourself forward, take the lessons and help other people. And that's what I did. So I just thought it was a really good platform to meet other like-minded people. And wow, we've certainly done that, haven't we?
Oh, we definitely have. We definitely have, and that's the reason that obviously with me as well was telling a story. But everybody's stories are so diverse, and everybody in the whole world has probably got some kind of story that they're going to relate to somebody else in this. And like you said, it's the overcoming power, the turning whatever's happened into something positive, and how you've navigated that.
Yeah.
And then for you, you started that, and then all of a sudden now you've got you've got these other books that's giving you that confidence to grow and develop everything else that you've got the knowledge of and you want to push forward, and you're now doing it yourself.
Publisher who became part of my network, and then I became really good friends with an author, and all of a sudden, like what seemed so out of reach a few months before I got involved in Start Over, I was just surrounding myself with people who were massively like could help me. And that's led on to I've now got a feature in the local magazine, Wirral Life magazine. I do work with La Vida magazine. It's just phenomenal. Like, all of a sudden you just,
Snowball effect. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, it's all been fab.
Well, that is so amazing, and it's been so insightful and so inspiring speaking to you today on the podcast. It's been absolutely amazing, and thank you so, so much for coming on and
That's
telling me of just all your knowledge, and basically, being raw about this is what's happened in my life. And I did go through that point, like I said, losing so much all at the same time. And like you say, oh, that's not that bad compared to some people. It's all right, did it just go again? And you said that's not so bad compared to some people. But it is, because all this comfort and everything that you've had round about you in life as you know it then gets taken away, and you've had to rebuild. And by the way, but a bloody rebuild you've had, it's phenomenal what you've done, and push forward for what you used to do in your life and as a job, to seeing you so passionate about doing something that you used to do pharmaceutically, but now with a company you're aligned with.
Yeah.
We're helping obviously through your property and neurodivergent and just all these different things. It's so, so inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been great.
Oh, thank you. And then if anybody's wanting to reach out to you as well, just on your socials or on your platforms or on your website again.
Yeah, so if the easiest place is if you go on my website, which is shirleyanhaig.com, then every element of the business is on there. On my socials, you can reach out. It's just Shirleyann Haig and Haig. So Shirleyann, ShirleyannHaig. And that's my on Facebook and on Instagram. My property business is called Home Property Solutions. My CIC is Inspiring Minds Group CIC, and my Inspiring Women is Inspiring Women Wirral. So yeah, they're all on socials, and yeah, but the easy way is just to contact me through the main website because it links into everything.
links and everything. And when I share this as well, I'll put all the information in as well, so people can reach out to you as well.
Brilliant.
So thank you so much, and have the most amazing day. And thank you for being an absolutely fabulous, inspirational guest.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll see you very, very soon.
See you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.